New colors are coming to the Carolina mountains, and it seems like cool fall temperatures are finally sticking around. But while the weather's changing, the barbecue competition and events calendar smoking hot. Up next, the big weekend of October 17th and 18th in South Carolina is the 25th annual Squealin on the Square happening in Lawrence, and then about 40 miles away, Hogs and Hens are bringing thousands of people to downtown Abbeville. Again, that's happening Friday and Saturday. Then Sunday, Charlotte's the place to be for the pig picking at Mac's Speed Shop. The Carolina Barbecue Festival team's joining Mac's to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Speed Shop with a Panthers watch party and an all-star cast of pitmasters serving whole hog barbecue and lots more. Then next weekend, of course, the barbecue world heads to Davidson County for the 41st annual Lexington Barbecue Festival. The big day is Saturday, October 25th. So on this episode of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, our 101st episode of the podcast, we'll deliver the details on these big barbecue events and let you know how you can get involved. I'm Chigger Willard, and I can't wait to get started on the fall barbecue road trip, and I'm sharing my itinerary with you for our big weekend. Maybe we can hook up somewhere along the way. Today, we'll also hit a few news highlights from the past few weeks. Spoiler alert, South Carolina defeated North Carolina in the second annual Smithfield Cup. Hard to believe now, both teams 1-1. Before we get to that, here's your invitation to visit our website at lowslowbbqshow.com. You'll find our podcast episodes with all the information on the fall barbecue festivals. Of course, there's also blogs with links to event schedules, music lineups, plenty more. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter, The Lowdown. We'll send Carolina barbecue news and events to your email box every week. This week, we sent subscribers a discount code to tickets for the pig picking happening this week at Mac's Speed Shop. Got a discount code you guys can use. And, of course, we'll talk more about the pig picking. But first, let's get the barbecue road trip itinerary started in Lawrence, South Carolina. That's where they're having the 25th annual Squealin on the Square. Hopefully I'll make it there in time for the hog calling contest. And now this festival starts Friday at noon and continues again on Saturday at 10 a.m. The music lineup keeps the court square humming till late in the evening, Friday and Saturday. And Saturday's headliner features a Jimmy Buffett cover band. It's the Havana Daydreamers, and it's actually made up of Lawrence City employees. So see the Havana Daydreamers, enjoy some Jimmy Buffett, and see the Lawrence City staff on display performing up there. Other music throughout the day has been selected, according to Brad Abercrombie, to appeal to younger audiences. So concerts will continue until 9 each evening. Expect a lot of rock and pop and other good stuff to go along with Jimmy Buffett. Now, let's talk about barbecue. Of course, this event is going to be a People's Choice Award competition at Squealin on the Square. You're going to purchase a strip of 10 tasting tickets. Then you can visit each one of the participating pitmasters, sample their wares, then cast a vote for a favorite. The top vote getters, they're going to receive a cash prize, and there'll be a big announcement in the afternoon. I mentioned Brad Abercrombie. He's the executive director for Main Street Lawrence, and we had an interview with him a couple weeks ago. He shared that the competition format may change next year. Stay tuned for details there. Otherwise, there's 20 to 25 other food vendors, including the non-barbecue. There's about 100 local craft vendors, nonprofit booths. Each one of those nonprofits has a game and crafts for youth to go and enjoy there. And while you're downtown, of course, enjoy the many shops of downtown Lawrence. As I mentioned, the hog calling, it is open to the public. And Main Street director Brad Abercrombie, again, he said, a stranger can walk in and win it. It's my goal to get there in time and give it a try. Follow us on Instagram to keep up with my visit in Lawrence for Squealin on the Square. Then next stop, about 40 miles down the road, an hour or so southwest, is Abbeville. Hogs and Hens, also happening Friday and Saturday, October 17th and 18th. There's vendors are all going to be out on the bricks in Abbeville starting about 5 p.m. Friday. And then the headlining music's Friday night, the Singing Medallions. They perform 6 to 8. Things get happening Saturday with the Kids Zone open 9 to 12 Saturday morning. Lots of fun stuff for young people. And, of course, vendors will be on the square from 10 till 8. There's a gospel celebration from 1 to 2. And then the rest of the afternoon, pop and beach music will continue into the evening. Hogs and Hens, as a matter of fact, is a Southern Barbecue Network sanctioned competition. So pitmasters there will be cooking overnight Friday and into Saturday's turn-in for their competition entries. So if you get there Friday evening or Saturday morning, be sure to check in on those guys. Say hello from Chigger, the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. And then the winners are going to be announced at about 2:30 in Main Street, downtown Lawrence. Here's the good news. Several of those competition teams will be selling their barbecue to the public. There's a pretty good chance you can taste some of that championship barbecue. Now, we've been working with the Southern Barbecue Network folks a couple of years, and I can't wait to see the competition happening in real time. I want to meet the judges, talk with some of the competitors as well. I'm not really sure when I'll make it into Abbeville. I'm sure that everybody will still be around by the time I get there in the afternoon. But again, I am trying to make it for the award ceremony at 2:30. Again, depending on how things shank out with the hog collar competition, I may have to stay and sign autographs as the hog calling champion of Lawrence. Fingers crossed. I do know that once I get to Abbeville, I'm looking forward to visiting the beautiful downtown area, seeing all the bricks and the diverse shops, and of course, eat some of that championship barbecue. Final stop for the night, Saturday evening, Hickory Knob State Resort Park in McCormick. That's on the shores of Lake Thurmond, a 71,000-acre lake. Now, I'm not going to be playing the 18-hole Tom Jackson golf course, but I am looking forward to enjoying some of the amenities like the kayaking. There's 12 miles of biking and hiking trails at various lengths, archery, skeet shooting, axe throwing, fishing, a whole lot to do at Hickory Knob. I got to remember to get signed up for the skeet shooting. I think I might do that Sunday morning. There's also a restaurant. They've got breakfast, lunch, dinner service buffets, all that good stuff at the resort restaurant. And it's a really cool resort. All of that is happening in, again, McCormick County. It's one of the old 96 district counties. That includes 5 counties. Abbeville, where they're having Hogs and Hens. Lawrence County, where they're having the Pickin, or the Squealin on the square. And then there's McCormick, where Hickory Knob State Park is. The only place I don't think I'll make it is Edgefield and Greenwood, but I do know that I'm going to try to get back to Greenwood for the South Carolina Festival of Discovery. That's a big barbecue and blues festival happening around mid-July every year. Check that out in 2026, and maybe we'll be along for the ride. So attractions, accommodations, trip planning information for those 5 counties in the Old 96 district, just find it at visitold96sc.com. Those are our friends over at the Old 96 Tourism District in South Carolina, doing a lot of great things for those counties that we just mentioned: Abbeville, Lawrence, McCormick, Edgefield, and Greenwood counties. Again, you can follow me on Instagram to keep up with everything that's happening on the barbecue road trip. Just look for Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I'm going to post pictures, interviews, and live hits when I can. Now, I won't be making it to Bo's Battle Queue on Saturday. That's where Gardner-Webb University hosts the 3rd annual Backyard Barbecue Competition. That's another Southern Barbecue Network event, and that competition is actually part of the Gardner-Webb Homecoming festivities. Barbecue competition begins at 11 a.m. on the practice soccer field. That's across from Spangler Stadium, where Gardner-Webb's football team plays. They're hosting UT Martin for football. Kickoff is going to be at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, again, the 18th. So speaking of Gardner-Webb, the Running Rebels retained the Barbecue Bowl. They defeated Charleston Southern 30-27. A 48-yard walk-off field goal sealed the deal for Gardner-Webb. So now Gardner-Webb's won both installments of the North-South Barbecue Bowl battle. That's a little tease of the news that we're going to have coming up a little bit later in the podcast. But first, back to the barbecue road trip. The return leg to Hickory is Sunday. And again, depending on what happens on the shooting range or the lake or the hiking trail, I'm aiming to slide back into South Charlotte just in time for the Carolina Barbecue Festival's Pig Pickin at Mac's Speed Shop. That's going from 12 until 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. It's the 20th anniversary for Mac's Speed Shop. This is part of the big celebration. And of course, the original South End locations where they got it started. That happened when lifelong friends Hall Johnston, Wynn Davis, they started a restaurant as part of a desire to combine their favorite hobbies: motorcycle, barbecue, of course, live music. They've done it all there in South End for 20 years. Now they've expanded 9 locations across the Carolinas, including Charlotte, Mooresville, Fort Mill, South Carolina as well. So going to check that out. There's also a Panthers watch party. The Panthers play the Saints for the big event, so that ought to be a W for the Panthers. They've been playing well the past few weeks, so we'll check that out. DJ, drink specials, and then here's what you really want to hear about is the menu. So I'm going to run down it right quick. They've got 5 pitmasters. No, check that. 4 pitmasters that are delivering it up, and some of our great friends there from the Carolina Barbecue Festival. Of course, Sweet Lou's involved. Wait to hear what he's making. First, let's talk about the whole hog. It is a pig picking. So they've got a whole hog that's locally sourced and slow smoked 18 hours over hickory logs, served with your choice of Mac's signature sauces. And that's going to be done by Charles Long from Mac's Speed Shop. There'll be smoked pig wings served with al pastor style with pineapple pico de gallo and pickled red onion, or maybe you can have it tossed with a homemade cheerwine sauce, your choice. That's coming from our buddy Matthew Berry from Midwood Smokehouse. Had him on one of the episodes here a year or so ago. So good stuff from Midwood Smokehouse. Then here's another headliner. They're all headliners when you've got four of them. John G's, man, Garen Kirkman's going to be there. He's bringing his brisket foldy served on Martin's bread. Expect a little splash of sauce, but that brisket doesn't need it. It's so good. And, of course, our man, Sweet Lou, Lewis Donald, he's bringing redneck Rockefeller oysters, have collard greens, smoked pork, pimento cheese, all that from Lewis Donald at Sweet Lou. So this is happening, again, the Pig Pickin at Mac's Speed Shop. Ticket holders get a chance to sample each one of those items for just $25. If you hit the link on our Instagram or the discount link at the Carolina Barbecue Festival, you may be able to save a few bucks, but that's a really good price to get some really great barbecue at a cheap cost and enjoy a Panthers party. So again, the Pig Pickin is at Mac's Speed Shop. If you don't know, 2511 South Boulevard in Charlotte, just Google it. They'll get you there. Now, next weekend, let's talk about the barbecue festival fun that continues with another big one. It's Lexington Barbecue Festival, and it starts Friday with the pre-pig shindig from 6 to 9 at Childress Vineyards. You may know Childress Vineyards always produces a swine wine for the festival each year. And guess what? I can tell you it's good, just like all the wine they produce there at Childress. I'm no wine connoisseur, but I know I like that fine swine wine that they turn out at Childress Vineyards each year for the Lexington Barbecue Festival. Now, you got to have a ticket to see the pre-pig shindig. It includes an Eagles cover band, so maybe worth the price of admission if you want to go. But also probably want to know that event's going to support the Pastor's Pantry of Davidson County, so there's another good reason to go. Now, the Lexington Barbecue Festival is free, happening on Saturday, October 25th. Everything starts happening at 8:30 in the morning until the final concert winds down in the evening. If you haven't been, downtown Lexington fills with more than 250 vendors. There's 6 entertainment stages, street performers, a 50-ton pig-themed sand sculpture right down by City Hall. So many great things to see. And, of course, there's the barbecue. They have Lexington-style barbecue served at 3 different tent locations all around the festival footprint. And if you didn't know, barbecue businesses around Lexington support that tent operation with food and volunteers. And actually had the pleasure of attending the festival in 2013 and worked in one of those tents for the barbecue center. They put me on the fryer, and I don't know why they would do that. I guess they didn't want me getting near the barbecue. Maybe a wise decision. Still, it was a fun day working the fryer. I got to eat some barbecue, wandered through all the festival's activities, and there were big crowds of people. It always draws a lot of folks, and it's really a large footprint too. So it's a nice size festival. You'll see a lot of people have a lot of fun, and probably some easier paths to get there to Lexington for folks in Charlotte and Raleigh this year may bring a few more people. I'll explain what I'm trying to say here is North Carolina by train is going to make 10 stops to ferry passengers to a temporary stop they're going to have set up in Lexington for the barbecue festival. So you can get on the train between Raleigh and Lexington, or you can get on the train between Charlotte and Lexington and find your way to the barbecue festival by train. So the festival's complete music lineup, more details, all that's at thebarbecuefestival.com. That's right, thebarbecuefestival.com, kind of appropriate. A grand finale concert, I can tell you, starts at 6 o'clock Saturday. It'll close out the festival with Jim Quick and Coastline. They provide Carolina Swamp Soul, and they actually show 300 shows around the Southeast each year. So kind of a big time traveling act around the Southeast. Ahead of the 41st annual Lexington Barbecue Festival, 3 people are going to join the Barbecue Hall of Fame at Lexington City Hall. They're actually going to induct those individuals on October 20th. It's Paul Speedy Lore, Buddy Curley, and Alvin Pappy Thomason. I tell you, all 3 of these gentlemen are deceased, but take a moment just to remind everybody who these folks are. Speedy Lore worked at Stamey's Drive-In and Old Hickory Barbecue before he opened Speedy's in 1963 in Lexington. His brothers Boyd and Roy Dunn bought that business 7 years later in 1970, and then it relocated in 2023 due to a road widening project just a couple of years ago. Speedy passed away in February 2010. Buddy Curley started working at the Barbecue Center when it was actually called the Dairy Center. He was 15 years old and worked the barbecue pit joints all around Lexington, including Lexington Barbecue, before he opened his own operation, Curly's Barbecue. First location was in Welcome, and he added another on Old Highway 52. That business closed in July 2023. Curly died just this year. Alvin Pappy Thomason started working at Jess Swicegood's Greensboro Street tent restaurant in Lexington when he was just 11. He mastered the craft of working the pits from barbecue forefathers like Alton Beck, Warner Stamey, J.B. Tarleton, Smiley Stamey, Boyce Alexander, and the Stogner brothers. Pappy Thomason died in 2006. So those folks are going to be added to the Wall of Fame in Lexington. Last year, Lexington Barbecue Festival co-founders Joe S. Sink Jr. and K.K. Saint Sing joined the Barbecue Wall of Fame. By the way, it started in 2016 to celebrate the history of the Lexington Barbecue Festival. One more festival to mention, the Sons of American Legion Squad 47 is hosting the American Legion Barbecue Cook-Off October 24th and 25th in Charleston. And I know it's the same weekend as Lexington Barbecue Festival, but if you're in Charleston, check out the American Legion Barbecue Cook-Off. It's a Southern Barbecue Network sanctioned competition, and we're hoping to get organizers on the podcast next week. Stay tuned. For now, I can tell you it's happening Friday and Saturday, again, October 24th and 25th. Here, the public is going to vote for an anything barbecue tasting contest on Friday evening, and then judges will decide the winners on Saturday's competition. Again, those judges from Southern Barbecue Network. There's also going to be barbecue for sale and pulled pork tastings and live music with the Satin Martinis, whatever that is. That's event, by the way, supports the Low Country Veterans Home. So again, tune in next week. We hope to have some of the organizers there. If you're in and around Charleston, make plans to go to the American Legion Barbecue Cook-Off. Charleston's also the site for Holy Smokes, the big barbecue festival, kind of a end chapter, the 2025 barbecue season before it starts getting too cold for barbecue outside. That's going on November 8th at Riverfront Park. There'll be 50 pitmasters, including a whole bunch of our Low and Slow Barbecue Show friends. You can just check out the details at holysmokeschs.com. That's where you get everything on the website. So that's the barbecue festival lineup for the next couple weeks. While we've got festivals on the mind, let's take a moment to celebrate the South Carolina team. They captured the second ever Smithfield Cup, and that evens the competition at 1-1 with the North Carolina team. South Carolina team this year included Unity Barbecue from Bennettsville, John Haney from Alvaron Barbecue Company in Somerville, and Marvin Ross from Charleston. They combined forces to defeat North Carolina at the event in Elizabethton. This was all determined by People's Choice ballot. Just to remind you, the Smithfield Cup also is going to go back to the winning stake until the rivalry is renewed next October. So those guys get to keep it in South Carolina until October. They go back to battle again next year. The Smithfield Cup is produced by Tar Heel Festivals. Just to remind you, that's the folks that produce the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival and the Christopher Prieto Pitmaster Invitational in Pinehurst each year. North Carolina's team, I'll just mention, that included Black Powder Smokehouse Pitmaster Keith Henning, Oink and Moo by two brothers Jeff Groce, and Cruisers Restaurants Walt Monroe. So sorry for the losing side there. Better luck next year to North Carolina. Some other barbecue news from the Carolinas that we've shared recently. Sam Jones Barbecue co-owner Michael Letchworth is the 2025 Small Business Leader of the Year for the Greenville Pitt County Chamber of Commerce. Michael's a Pitt County native, and he's been instrumental in building the Sam Jones barbecue business in Winterville that's going to be celebrating its 10th anniversary next month. Lawrence Barbecue's new Cary location's the destination for the news and observers on a budget, Colin. Check that out. You see Renee Umstead breaks down the various options that are available for a $25 tab. She shared her meat and potatoes experience and offers important advice. If you're going to Lawrence Barbecue, go with a friend, order a bunch of things, and then share. That's great advice to go almost anywhere, but definitely if you go check out Lawrence Barbecue's new location in Cary, just look for the News and Observers on a Budget column to read about Renee Umstead's experience. JD Smokehouse in Rutherford College received high praise from John Tanner in his October 12th barbecue blog. That weekend celebration, as we call it in the Hickory Metro, happens Thursday through Saturday, and it's a favorite in this part of the world for the quality of food and the efficiency of service they offer. If you don't follow John Tanner, just check him out. He spends a lot of time sharing barbecue opinions on restaurants around the Carolinas and really all across the nation. Speaking of barbecue blogs, Robert F. Moss has started the Fire Under His Q Sheet newsletter again. In the latest, he talks about chain barbecue, and he's also had opinions on some of those listicles that go around from folks like eat this and not that. Here's another spoiler. A lot of that stuff's written by AI, artificial intelligence, and they aren't always exactly right. In fact, as we found, sometimes they endorse places that are no longer open. So here's an opinion that I trust a little bit more than AI. Easton Barbecue could be the best new barbecue spot to land in the area since Palmyra brought a claim to West Ashley. That's according to the Charleston Post and Courier's food editor. It was included in 5 favorite Charleston area restaurants to enjoy in October. Something written by the local people, a human being that we know, at a title that we recognize in terms of a news publication. I'm going to take their advice. Check out Joel Easton. Of course, we know Joel. He's putting out good stuff there in Hollywood, South Carolina. One more news note. Mallard Creek Presbyterian Church's annual barbecue fundraiser has retired after 93 years. Retired is the word they used. Apparently, generational leadership from the 4 main components of the barbecue they've stopped and stepped aside. The process simply can't sustain the voids. That's according to a statement from the church. If you aren't familiar with it, that event has often been an opportunity for office-seeking political candidates to campaign to Charlotte area voters. Before we wrap it up, you've probably heard a little bit about Southern Living's top 50 barbecue joints in the South. City Limits and our buddy Robbie Robinson in West Columbia. He was named number 1. Congratulations, Robbie and City Limits. After the list comes out, Texas Monthly's barbecue snob Daniel Vaughn, he countered the list from Robert Moss, and he basically said, hey, keep Texas out of your South. The state's too big to be covered by one person, according to Vaughn. He's probably got a fair argument there. Instead, he suggested a few barbecue places in the South to replace a handful of those Texas choices that Southern Living's barbecue editor Robert Moss added. And among those additions for Daniel Vaughn, some of his, you ought to consider these additions to the list for Southern Living: Barbecue Center in Lexington, John G's in Peachland, Lawrence Barbecue in Cary. Hey, we've mentioned him once today. Old Colony Smokehouse in Edenton, and of course, Red Bridges Barbecue Lodge in Shelby. No love for South Carolina in any of the additions. Kind of surprised he didn't get Fort Grove Barbecue in there. Oh, wait a minute, I'm scooping myself there. Daniel Vaughn does include our friends at County Smoke in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, again, I mentioned scooping myself. I've got a few additions that I want to put on the list too. You can check them out at lowslowbbqshow.com. Just look for the blog link, click it, get Chigger's opinions. And I will say again, you got to get Fort Grove Barbecue on there, guys. Come on. He's one of Daniel Vaughn's favorites outside of Texas for Texas-style barbecue. I think he belongs on both lists as well. While you're at our website, tour the podcast library. You'll find our man from Fort Grove Barbecue, Dylan Cook. And while you're there, you can discover all the other Pitmaster interviews that we've completed over the past 100 episodes. Hard to believe we've been doing this 100 episodes. At the website, you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Lowdown, and get the latest Carolina barbecue news, events, special offers delivered directly to your email inbox. Thanks for visiting our website, lowslowbbqshow.com, and for sharing some of your time with us today. I'm grateful for the time of Andrew Moose as well. He's our producer at The Mesh. Always make sure we sound good and get our content pushed out into the worldwide interwebs. Thanks as well to the whole team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. They do a great job. This project and this podcast, over 100 episodes, definitely takes a village, and I'm glad to be working with the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. They're a great village. Finally, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I'm Chigger Willard, reminding you that for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, keep it low and slow.